going to learn about tooltips, and you can use any program you want that you've already written. I'm going to use the one we just did with string methods, but truthfully, you can use any program you want. And we're going to get these little pop-ups to come up using tooltips. So we'll go to the toolbox and get a tooltip. Double click on it, and it shows up on the bottom. You don't actually see it on the form, but it is part of the form. And its name right now is Tooltip 1. That's okay. Now, if I click on BTN exit and slide down to the T's in the properties, you'll see now there's a new property, Tooltip on Tooltip 1. So I'll just type a little phrase and the program. Let's run the program and see what happens. I'm simply going to hold the mouse and put the pointer over exit, and after a short delay, and the program comes up in a little pop-up. We can do that with all these controls on the form. I'll go to this label, LBL compare, and just make a little note about what's going to happen here. These can give users some tips on what they should do or what's going to happen in a certain place. So I'll just put, which word comes first. And then when users hold the pointer over this label, that's what it sort of does. You've probably run into these things in programs you've used yourself. So uppercase. That's going to display what the word looks like with all capital letters. So I'll type something to that effect inside here for the tooltip. And again, this will show up when users hold the mouse or put the pointer over the uppercase label. Then I'll slide to the other label. And again, all these controls now have tooltips available to them that are on Form 1. For the text box here, I'll just tell them simply to type a word here. You might have something more clever that you could say. And you notice there's a slight delay before it shows up. That's part of the properties of the tooltip. I could explain what length is. It's how many characters that their word has. So now, when they put the mouse over that tooltip will show up. So this can be used maybe to clarify, explain, or eliminate some confusion. It's another way to interact with the users. The radio buttons also have these tooltips available to them if you needed to use them. Again, if you click on Tooltip 1 once, you'll see its properties. Most of the ones that interest you might be these milliseconds. 500 milliseconds is a half a second. There's 1,000 milliseconds in a second. The auto pop delay is 500 or 5,000, which is really 5 seconds. Reshow delay is 100 milliseconds, which is actually 1/10 of a second. The initial delay you saw was 500 milliseconds, which is half of a second. So if you want to adjust those, you could. They're probably okay the way they are, but that's what those properties mean there for tooltips. So go ahead and add a lot of tooltips to whatever program you've got going right now, especially trying to make things clear for users.